Welcome to Set the Sails, a Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast. Brought to you by Bucs Life Media and our official sponsor, the Jersey Wave. Streaming on FanStreamSports.com, airing on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And now, your hosts, James Flash Ludeman, James Britbuck Wilson, and Ruth the Truth Cagias. We are going live in 3, 2, 1.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. No, I don't know why I started talking like that. We're just trying stuff new. Okay, it's all good. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Set the Sails, the podcast. My name is James Ludeman. I'm one of your hosts tonight. Good evening. Happy Monday to you. Hopefully, you're having a great start to your week. And we got some Bucs news to talk about today. We got a lot of great topics we're going to have, and we're going to bring on our hosts right now. Of course, you know, one of our co-hosts, Mr. Britbuck himself, joining us live from Canada. How are we doing, Britbuck?
Well, it is absolutely fantastic. Here we are at episode 13. And yes, this is my radio voice. And I'm using this voice in honor of our co-host tonight. Yes, the man with the smoothest voice in all of Tampa sports radio, the one, the only, you know him as Al Bushman. Al Bushman, welcome to the show.
I should have started to drink before the show instead of waiting till after the show to drink.
No. This is the best time to pick it up, apparently. How are we doing, Al Bushman?
Don't ever start off the show with that impression ever again. That's all I gotta say.
It seriously sounded like we were on talk. I don't even know.
It sounded like you're on some kind of show where we're going to bring in some new prizes and new entertainment.
Oh, good.
Are you not a fan of my radio voice?
Oh, I love it.
I assume from the Barbs that
no,
I can't even pick this up. I can't.
I tell you what, you should have a poll that says, "Do you like my new voice?"
Am I watching golf? That's what it is.
It's the golf voice.
It's the golf voice. That's right. That's what it is.
As they move on to the third green of the second par, we're looking for a strong uphill wind.
Tony!
Tiger is going to the 18th. We were just reminiscing about when he got the crap beat out of him by his ex-wife, and he crashed.
All right. Anyway, moving on.
That was when he was banging hookers, and
conspicuous by her absence is, of course, and I get to mute you. Conspicuous by her absence is, of course, Ruth the Truth, who is
she's high. She's real high. She's real high right now.
She's flying high.
Flying
high. She's mile high right now.
Yeah, she's high. She's flying real high right now.
Yeah, she's anyway, she is on a plane, and so that is where she is tonight. So unfortunately, and I'm sure Donnie is watching, so I'm sorry your girlfriend's not here tonight, buddy. But it's okay. Boys' night out. We're gonna carry the show. We're gonna have a good time doing it.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
That's true.
Set the Sails, brought to you by Colorado.
Yes. Wait, there's hookers. Leave it to Jay. Anyway, all right. So there
is no punch and pie.
Let's jump into some conversation tonight. First thing, and this news just came out a few hours ago, that the NFL and the NFLPA, obviously, they got a deal done as far as the COVID-19 testing. Yesterday, they talked about that. But one of the more interesting things that came out of that was they started talking about having no preseason games. Originally, the deal, and it's still not official yet, so don't take it for what it's worth at this point. But there was some talk that there was going to not be a preseason. Then the NFLPA came back and said, well, I think we still need one. 2 games is what they agreed on. And now the NFL has given the Players Association the opportunity to not have preseason games. Now, I think there's an argument for and against this, in my opinion. But I want to kind of throw it to you guys and just kind of see what your thought process is. So, Britbuck, we'll start with you. 2 preseason games right now, but there is talk about canceling both of those. Let's play deal or no deal on this. Do you like it or you don't?
My views on preseason are well documented. I'm generally against preseason as a whole, but I do understand the necessity for that right now. Obviously, there's players who haven't had really full camp experiences because a lot of the social distances, a lot of the quarantining and the lockdown caused by the recent coronavirus panic. However you feel about it, it has been, some things have been implemented. Players haven't been able to practice as they would have been. They're not going to be game ready. So, you know what? As much as I dislike the preseason, and it's just, for me, it's sort of there for the roster bubble players. It helps them get tape out, helps players land on practice squads. But when you start putting your starters and your big players and your big name players into games and they get injured, it's always a case of you're the biggest goat around if one of your star players gets injured when you necessarily didn't have to have them on the field.
All right, Evan, Bushman.
You know, it's a double-edged sword when it comes to preseason, because I frankly am against preseason. I mean, you put your stars or your players at a greater risk of injury when you have the 4 games. Now you can have 4 games, 2 games, 1 game, 0 games. That's fine. I mean, we're going to see the guys, you know, who is on the cusp of making the team, and you get to see your stars for maybe a couple of quarters of one night. But I mean, honestly, I'm not too broken up about Major League Baseball not having a spring training again. So, I mean, should we be heartbroken that there's no, you know, preseason games for the NFL? And I get it. You know, the guys
They're
that
very
have
different games, though.
I know they're very different games, but, you know, you got to look at, I mean, obviously with the rookies coming in, they kind of want to be a part of the preseason part of it, because that way they're playing against the guys they're going to be hopefully playing against in the regular season. But I think with the landscape now, I wouldn't risk having preseason, because we're already at a risky point of view anyways because of COVID. Why put them at even a greater risk when you have risk of injury in the four preseason games, 2 season, whatever? I'm okay with them not having preseason altogether. That's okay with me.
Here's
what then happens to the players who, sorry, James, just sort of in response to James, not James, to Evan there. So what happens though to the players who, because teams are going to be carrying like a 90-man roster into the season, into preseason, that teams around the country do year in, year out. So what happens to those players who might not stick, for example, on a roster that might succeed somewhere else? They're not really going to have the opportunity to get tape out, which means they're kind of going to be this year's forgotten free agent class, because they're still going to have a draft next year. There's still going to be undrafted players who are going to go to teams and become undrafted free agents. We've potentially got a whole class of players who might need a little bit of nurturing within the league, who are going to be completely forgotten about just simply because we didn't have a preseason, so they didn't have tape. So essentially a year of stagnation is going to kill their career.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say it's going to kill their career. Of course, I mean, there's going to be tape on them no matter what. And I think if a team is looking for somebody to fill in a spot or a roster spot, they're going to look at that player. If they're really, okay, hey, you know, this guy, it was released by the Bucks today, and a team comes in, look, we need a wide receiver. They're going to make those calls. Like, hey, you guys just released such and such. What do you think of him? Do you think he'd be a great spot for us? I mean, obviously they're going to say yes, but they're going to give them good marks about it too. So I don't think without having them having tape with a full year or having some tape with them in preseason, it's not going to hinder them from getting maybe picked up on waivers if they get dropped by another team. I think if a team is willing to take that roster spot and fill up with somebody they don't really have a lot of tape on, that's the risk that you have to take this year. Now, of course, you know, going into the draft next season, for NFL may happen maybe even later on, because we don't know if college football is going to be starting on time, because it might be starting later. So that's a whole other bag of issues that you have to look forward to, is if college football is going to start in January, they're going to playing later. So you might have to push the draft back later. So that's something that you have to take point to as well.
See, I'm of the opinion that I think that, look, I don't think this is a big deal to me.
It's definitely not.
To go already from 4 to 2 was kind of a big step already. And I think for the players, because again, as we saw over the weekend, the players want to play football. And I think the best way that we can do that is by limiting the amount of time that we have to keep them on the field for games that don't particularly matter. Yes, it matters for people like the undrafted free agent who's trying to make a team and support their family. I totally get that. And that's where I think that the preseason does matter, is because I think it matters to guys who aren't superstars, and even those guys who are like on the fence of making the team or making the practice squad and kind of how that looks. What it reminds me of, and really, again, it's not the same sport, but it reminds me of what baseball has done with the minor league. The minor league is basically non-existent right now because of this whole COVID issue. So it's a situation where these practice squads and these just guys trying to make the team, what's going to happen to them? And that's where you kind of go, man, that really sucks for them. Like, that's not a good thing at all. But then again, you look at a guy like Donovan Smith, who comes out and says publicly that he does not want to risk his family's health in any way. And now you're saying, okay, well, we hear you. Why don't we take away this preseason for you guys, and then we'll figure out the rest. I think that really the only other person that this affects is the coaches, because the coaches are going to have to make tough decisions, and only having limited amount of film and everything else to see on some of these guys, it might really hurt the coaches more than anything else.
Yeah, and of course you've got the danger there that the coaches do make the wrong decision when they've got somebody sitting on the roster bubble. Maybe they've got 3 or 4 guys, and they'll go with the one guy who looks great in practice. But you know what? What if he shits the bed every time he steps onto a field in a live game? What if the guy who, was maybe 3rd choice is actually the person who excels in front of the lights? What if they're the person that is that clutch performer and they need something on the line to sort of give it 100%? That can also damage teams as well. But actually, I'm going to pose like a really, really interesting question. Like, people in the comments, guys watching, would love to hear your thoughts. Obviously, James, Evan. So here's my question. Do you think that maybe there is going to be a player from this undrafted free agent class who actually doesn't catch on with the team this year, but actually has a stellar career, picks up a team next year when there's tape out, and everyone's sort of looking back in 10 years going, wow, can't believe people missed this guy in 2020. Do you think there's the potential of anyone being like that at the moment?
I'm not going to name drop names. Obviously, I think there's going to be guys that are going to be like that because, of course, they might not fit in the schemes that are drawn up. They're not going to be, fitting in the offensive lines maybe, or the wide receivers that were drafted pretty high may not fit well with, the quarterback they might not gel with. So, yeah, I think there's obviously going to be guys like that on teams right now that, are out of the gate might not excel, but maybe we'll see them down the line excel after a few weeks or maybe on the end of the season. So, yeah, I definitely agree. There's going to be guys like that.
I think every year there's guys like that. Even when we have preseason, when we have normal seasons, I think there's a guy that you miss and you're like, man, we really could have taken him and done something with him, but he just, didn't show us enough at the time or however it looks. Look, I think that there's, again, just like I said before, I think there's going to be some missed opportunity here. And one of those things is just and you just feel horrible for those guys who are like right there on the bubble to make a team. That I keep going back to that because my heart really goes out to them, because for these guys like Odell Beckham and Tom Brady and all these other guys who are superstar players who are going to make the team regardless of how they do in the preseason, or even guys like Godwin and Evans and Miller, all these other guys that are good players that are going to make the team no matter what. And then you got a guy that usually stands out in camp and then just takes that next step to making the team. Your heart just kind of goes out to him, and it really breaks for him, to be honest, man.
It's the nature of the business, though, man. They have to go in with the mindset of, you know what, this might not be it. This might not be the team I'm going to stick with for the rest of the season. So,
True.
Yeah, and it is. I think it's an interesting philosophy that a lot of players have, where they do not expect sometimes to stick with a team. Sometimes they're literally going for the exposure, for the game tape, for the coach's opinion. A player could turn up in Tampa, say, for example, a quarterback comes to Tampa as an undrafted free agent. He knows he's not going to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer come the season. He's not unseating Tom Brady. He's probably not unseating either Gabbert or...
Yeah, you can unseat Blaine Gabbert. I mean, come on. Blaine Gabbert. Come on.
You know what? I've got a theory about Blaine Gabbert that isn't going to be
Oh,
well
gosh.
clearly with you.
Here we go.
No. No. You guys don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. You know
You know
you're gonna
what?
mock me like
You
that.
know what? I'll make peace with that. I'll be okay. With that.
Britbach is in a mood tonight, yo.
He hasn't smoked enough to be in a good place
He's
yet.
not riding the Mile High Club, apparently.
No,
Not yet.
my-
He's not high.
My vape ran out. Like,
So he turns to drinking, and then now he's getting all
Yep.
angry and stuff because
There
he's
it is.
yeah. See, this is why you don't drink, people. Don't drink. There's better
Yeah.
stuff out there.
Well,
No, if a quarterback arrives,
go ahead. Finish up what you're saying.
sorry, if a quarterback arrives, they know that they're turning up because they want to get a coach's opinion. They want to get tape available. They want their agent to be able to say, hey, you know what? My guy has practiced in Tampa Bay. He's thrown alongside Tom Brady. He's thrown to some of the best receivers in the NFL. Hey, you team, Minnesota, for example, that don't have a backup quarterback worth a damn, then you know what? They can contact. Thank you very much, Animals. Good to see you. Always a loyal fan. But yeah, so, you know, arrive in Tampa Bay when your agent's got eyes everywhere else. It's a thing. It happens. It's going to be limited, though, I believe, this year, because I just don't foresee a lot of movement with players simply because of this coronavirus. You know what? We seem to be talking about baseball a lot tonight. That poor guy who signed with the Atlanta Braves, and they were like,
Yasiel Puig, yeah, he signed
Yeah.
with him, and then all of a sudden he got COVID, and they're saying, nope, you can't come here.
yeah, like just before you sign this contract that will change your life forever, can you just take this little test again?
He's made a little bit of money. He's been on.
Yeah,
it.
he'll be.
Yeah.
He'll be all right.
Yeah, that contract,
Yeah.
though, I think would have been like. I think they're probably going to re-sign him once he's free of COVID.
Yeah.
Though, let's be honest.
Well, and here's the
Yeah,
and that's the big deal between, you know, what's happening in sports where we are now. You see, and I've said this from the beginning, is that football has the luxury that the other sports don't really have. You know, football has a luxury that they're the last to go, so they can see how. And I've said this on Sports Caffeine, which you can catch in the morning, by the way. A little shameless plug there. But again, they have the ability to watch what Major League Baseball is going to do this weekend as baseball comes back on Thursday. You know, they have the ability to watch what the NHL is doing. The NHL starts next Tuesday. So, I mean, it's one of those things where the NFL can sit back and go, okay, this is what works. And obviously what the NBA is doing is working. They had a number of tests go out, 0 positives, 0. So whatever, and even the NHL, they had over 1,000 tests go out. They had 2 people come back with positive tests. And then MLS also, soccer, had none. They had 0. So, I mean, they're obviously doing something right in these sports at this time.
It's a step in the right direction. Now, let's not get too hasty about it. Now, of course, we're probably going to have positive tests
No, right.
during the season, but it's a good start. When you start off with a goose egg and COVID, that's a win-win to start off everything right there, especially with the NBA bubble and you know, NHL, especially with MLS. It's a win-win. So if the NFL can come out the gate with 0 COVID, we're on our way, and then all of a sudden you'll see fans start to come back to the stadium. So
this is where I'm coming from, though, and this was my next question to lead into that. So the NBA in a bubble, the NHL hub cities in a bubble, basically. MLS,
Canadian hub cities.
hub cities bubble, same thing. All right.
Canadian.
The NFL, if they can't get a handle on this, does the NFL go to hub cities? Because we already have cities that are saying that they're not going to have any fans in the stands for the whole season. Doesn't matter what happens. They've already, like the Buccaneers and Giants game. I really believe that they're not going to have any, you know, people in the stands. I know Raymond James, you know, 20% at this point. So do they do hub cities if this goes bad over the next few weeks?
yeah, but okay, so, all right. So if they do a hub city, what city would be a host city?
Well, it would be like the NHL. It would be, you know, they have multiple cities that would be involved. Now, the only thing about that, it'd be a little bit different with football, but I feel like
I think if you're going to do the hub cities for football, it'd be kind of too little too late because, I mean, well, you'd have to do it right now. You'd have to say, okay, these are the cities that we're going to be hosting the teams at, because if you tried to do it the middle of the season, there would be no way to do it. There'd be
Right.
no way. The logistics of it would you're at a point of no return. Once once you're gonna get going, you can't stop. You can't stop the train. So there's no way to do it. So,
Britt?
Honestly, I think that there's sort of two ways that you can look at this. One is look at the sports teams at the moment that are getting the 0 results. They are living in a bubble where they are just around each other. There is no outside contact with anybody outside of the organization. So the chances of contracting the virus are minimized, absolutely. There's frequent testing, there's temperature checking. A lot of precautions are being taken. Now, the idea of hub cities is appealing in the sense that, you know what, just put everyone in one place or two places, and we'll just use one set of facilities and everything. But I understand that minimizes travel, and absolutely it minimizes the potential contact with a lot of people. But you know what, just from a sports point of view, I know that, take for example the NHL. I've skated on the ice at the Scotiabank Arena, and after one game, after an hour of being skated on, the ice is chewed to pieces because it's like hockey ice is different to regular ice. If anyone's ever been on it, it will not look good by the second game, let alone the third game. And now we expect to do that with American football, with, you know what, 300-pound guys like digging into the ground and throwing each other around and everything. You think that a pitch is going to stand up to 3-4 games in a day? It's not going to happen. I think the logistics outside it, as for American football, I just don't think. For hockey, for soccer, for baseball, sure, you're not really like going to. Even hockey's a push actually. But some sports I wouldn't do. And as Donnie says, it's very soft ice.
I think too with what they've rolled out with them agreeing on the safety protocols and health protocols today. I think what they've rolled out is actually a pretty good plan. So I think with rolling with that throughout the whole season is what you got to do. It's what you got to roll with. And I think what they have in place it's a good plan. Now they've agreed on it, so let's roll. Let's have football. I'm ready to do fantasy football drafts. I'm ready. I think we're all just ready to have it back, just like baseball is starting this weekend and everything else is starting rolling into place. I mean, you got to look at it this way, man. We're going to have all sports rolling at one time on every single channel at once. So it's going to be, you're going to have to buy more TVs. You're going to have to buy satellite. You're going to have to buy Sling TV, all those TV channels just to get everything.
It's going to be an orgy of sports.
I
love it.
Or you can buy Prime Stream from me and save a lot of money.
It'll be an orgy for the eyes. Orgy for the eyes.
Orgy for the. But you know what? I want to jump in here and just quickly cover what Jay said here, saying these players have always had fans watching since playing as children. It's going to be weird for the guys, even if they pump in the filler crowd noise. Yeah, it really, really is.
Not for the Chargers. They're used to that by now.
No,
so.
Yeah. But saying that, I just happened to be watching what was it? It was an FA Cup soccer game between Chelsea and Manchester United, and it was played at Wembley Stadium, where the NFL international games are played in London. Wembley Stadium is a huge, huge stadium, and it was completely deserted because obviously no fans allowed in. But when goals were being scored, I was hearing fans cheering, and it threw me off for a moment, but only when I realized that I shouldn't be able to hear fans cheering. So there's probably going to be all sorts of gadgets going on, like to sort of make it more sort of.
I say pump in some vuvuzela noises, pump in some noise makers. Let's go. Make it unique. Make it cool enough. So I mean, I think with the guys,
make it loud.
I think with if you're not, with teams with that, you're used to the crowd noises. Well, you got to adapt to it. I mean, you got to play to it. So if you're going to be, I think pumping in the crowd noise is going to be good for them because even just like Major League Baseball is doing, you're going to have cardboard cutouts of people. I mean, if teams do that, it's going to it'll make the atmosphere like there's people there as well. So I think they'll get used to it. They'll be fine with it. So let's get it.
Look, here's the bottom line. Okay, these players want to play. We saw that with the whole hashtag We Stand Together thing this weekend. And, they want to play. They want to play football, and they're going to do whatever it takes to do it. Now, they want to do so in a safe way. I think just like any other sports team wants to do. They don't want to go out there and injure not get injured, obviously, but they don't want to go out there and, just, get sick, just like anybody else and put themselves and their families at risk. And I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is I think if there's, and I thought it was good that the NFL and the NFLPA came together today and really made it work, because I think that means that the NFL is listening to the players, which I think is very important. Unlike some other sports and unlike some other commissioners, not going to mention any names, Rob Manfred, that don't listen to their players as much. So I think that this was a good step for them, and we'll see what happens. But that kind of leads into the next question that I have. And I want people in the comments legit to answer this question. Yes, El Bushman's hat is fire, Donnie. Congratulations. But I want to ask you both this question. And listen, I am not one of those guys that is a conspiracy guy. I'm not. I have one conspiracy that I believe in my life, and it's Hillary Clinton. And I'm telling you, we can argue about that all day. That lady's crazy. All right, stay away. I'm probably dead now because I said that publicly. All right.
There's gonna be a knock at your door pretty soon, James.
That's right, a knock at the door. But here's what I will say. Do the Buccaneers have a legitimate curse on their team right now? And here's why I say that. The Bucs have signed Tom Brady. The Bucs have signed Gronkowski. The Bucs on paper look like one of the best offenses we've seen in the NFL in quite a while overall.
With a rising defense.
And with a rising defense, all right? And now here comes COVID. Listen, all I'm saying is they have good teams. They have terrible kickers. They have good teams. They have terrible defenses. They have a good team on paper this year. Now we have a pandemic. Are the Bucs cursed? Are they ever going to get past this?
No. There's no curse because they're going to play this season. There is no curse. No.
Are they going to play this season?
They're going to play this season. It's going to be fine. You need to be more optimistic about this.
I was until
I am going to say that this would be the most Tampa Bay thing since they ever Tampa Bayed out of all the Tampa Bay things they've ever Tampa Bayed in. I know we use the expression "it's a Bucks life," but sometimes you just have to ask the question. You know what? Is this franchise cursed? Like, did Stu Culverhouse do something? Did he sell his soul to Satan to actually get the franchise in Tampa? Is Lucifer just calling back his debts now? Is that what's going on?
Listen, we'll all sacrifice a live chicken. We'll call it Pazuzu. We'll pray to the god of Shiva, and then we'll get this curse lifted. Look, listen.
We also need to go to the store. And does anyone know what they want to get?
I think everything is going to be okay. Don't worry.
I'm telling you. Listen,
it's worrying too much.
No, it's not even the fact that I'm worried. It's the fact of look at their franchise. Look at everything that has happened, and tell me there's not a curse on this team. At least, okay, hold on. If you want to admit there's an overall curse, admit there's a kicker curse.
That I can admit to, because there is a
hashtag go for two.
Hashtag go for two. Where's Scott Brown?
Hey, get the XFL rules, bring him to the NFL. The Bucs won't have to worry about having a kicker, so we'll be.
I would love that, by the way. Just for the record, I would love if the XFL rule book could just come right over to the NFL.
Donnie was right. The Bucs made a deal with the devil. The devil is John Gruden, and that's how they won Super Bowl 37.
I was going to say, is he implying the devil is Al Michaels?
So does that mean that John Gruden's going to win the Super Bowl this year?
No. So far away from winning the Super Bowl, it's not even funny. Even then, that toilet looking of a stadium, even though it's nice.
Well, we actually are going to have a surprise conversation toward the end of the show, by the way, that I didn't tell you guys about just because I love throwing.
I don't like surprises, man.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I'll leave right now. I don't like it.
So, I definitely think there's some kind of something going on, and that's just my opinion. I don't believe in a lot of curse. The Cubs, they have curse on them. Now they don't.
Did the curse happen after or before? I know it happened to Matt Bryan after we traded Matt Bryan and let him go. That was didn't the whole clock uniforms come in play after that happened?
Yeah,
Yep.
they had them for the last.
Because those
5
stupid
years.
uniforms, that's your curse right there. Because they stink so bad. Because those
Yeah,
stupid.
but explain everything before then. I don't know. I think the Matt Bryant curse got broken when we had Connor Barth, but then again, I suppose him snapping his Achilles tendon was part of that curse.
So that can explain why Roberto Aguayo had the yips in the legs and he was terrible.
I'm telling you, look.
You know, if he'd have been drafted by anybody
there's
else,
a lot of things that are lining up to this curse. I'm just saying.
if Aguayo had been drafted by anybody else, he would be banging on the walls of the Hall of Fame. He wouldn't be banging on the door. He would be beating, like he would be that champion kicker, 100% field goal, 100% like point after.
Well, I heard Aguayo's now
Aguayo-
selling insurance in Tampa Bay, so I think that's what he's got going. for him.
Aguayo was the best kicker in college ever, and he came here, and it's just
You could say it could be the curse of Jameis Winston because they were teammates together. Susie comes on the same team with Jameis Winston. He
there
can't
it
kick.
is.
You never
There
know.
it is.
You can blame Jameis for a lot,
reference per
but
show. One Jameis reference per show. Okay.
I'll blame Jameis for the crappy seafood dinner I had the other night. It was with crab legs.
Oh
too.
my gosh! All right. So I said I was going to throw a wrench at you guys. So we're going to do something. Listen, because look, there's no.
you're
there's
actually going
no-
to throw a wrench at us? That's
I am a literal wrench. So
You can dodge a wrench. You can dodge a
Dodge
ball.
a ball. So let me do this. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be something
Cool.
different that we do here. Normally we do talk a lot of Bucks, obviously, but we also talk a lot about the NFL. So I wanted to bring this to you guys to have some fun just for a few minutes. And then El Bushman, you're gonna have some fun here in just a second, I think.
I know I gotta get my trivia voice here pretty soon.
That's right, the trivia boys. Anyway, so before we get into that, I want to go around, and we don't have to spend a whole lot of time on this, but I want to go around to each division in football, and I want you to pick the winner of the division. And if you want to even pick the order of how they finish, you could do that too. All right. So I will start. I will name the division, and then we'll talk who wins it, and just a brief explanation why, if you want to do that. All right. Sound good? Everybody in? Okay.
Cool with me. Cool with me.
Let me
Amen.
bring up the divisions. Sorry, there's
Well,
always one.
I already got them written down. What do you mean? Just enjoy the
Yeah, but
show.
I need to see him in front of the.
All right. Go ahead.
You want me to go first?
What you just said you want. All right. Anyway,
I
here's
thought
what
you
we're
were
gonna
gonna
do.
name. I thought you were gonna name out the divisions.
I am. Here we go. All right. We're going to start here in the AFC. We're going to start in the AFC East. All right. And obviously, no longer a Patriot. Gronkowski, Tom Brady. It's been their division for the last, ever. So who wins the division? And if you want to do an order, go ahead. Go ahead. We'll start with you, Evan.
I'm not gonna do an order. I'll say Buffalo wins that division.
Okay. Over the Dolphins. Interesting.
Really?
I got Buffalo.
Okay.
All right.
I think Buffalo actually flattered really to deceive a lot last year. I don't see them being a threat. I don't see any team being a true threat in that division apart from the Patriots. I've still got them winning their division.
All right. Sorry, I'm commenting over here too. All right. I'm going to go with, you know what? I'm going to take a shot here in the dark.
Take a
And
shot.
I'm not going to say Buffalo. I'm actually going to say the Patriots are going to win again.
All right.
Because I really think, and I know Britt Buck is going to disagree with me, but I really think that Cam Newton is going to get them to a playoff level. I do.
This is the ultimate proof, ladies and gentlemen. This is the ultimate proof, ladies and gentlemen, that my co-host does not listen to me because
No,
I
I
picked
do
Patriots.
listen to you. That's why I was saying it. So there you go. All right, we'll move on. The NFC. Well, we call it the NFC least. Well, let's call it the NFC East. Who finishes on top there? Britt Buck, we'll start with you.
All those teams are a hot mess right now. It's impossible to see who's going to stink the less. You know what? The Redskins are going to be the first overall choice for me.
Washington TBD.
The Washington
Yes.
TBD.
The football team formerly known as the Deadskins.
Oh, you know what they could do is they could do a Prince and they could just have a symbol.
Yeah.
One word.
So
Madonna.
basically, the Washington complete waste of times
There you go.
are going to be picking first overall. So they're immediately out of the race. The Cowboys, sorry, Ruth, I don't see as a contender. I think they've got far too many issues going on. The Giants, you know what? They could stumble to win the division if everybody else around them is that bad. I think, as much as it pains me to say, the Eagles are probably the least bad team in that division.
All right, Bush.
I'm going to go with the Cowboys. New coach, new system. Mike McCarthy has proven himself to be a winning coach. As much as the Eagles are always the front runner to win this division, it all depends on Carson Wentz staying healthy. Now, of course, when Carson Wentz isn't healthy, somebody comes in and takes his job, and they win Super Bowls. But I think Cowboys.
So
Cowboys.
What you're saying is the Eagles need Wentz to get injured.
Yes, that's exactly right. I think Carson Wentz should take a dive, and then that should really happen. But this is the worst division.
I want to see this
all football. So I've got Cowboys.
True story. I heard a guy in Major League Baseball, no joke, and Bushman, I think you know about this. These players and coaches legitimately have made up injuries so that their players don't struggle.
I've heard of that. Yep.
I'm telling you, I talked to one of them from the Rays who was a good friend of mine and one of the best dudes on the team. And I'm telling you, one year he was in a slump like 0 for 50, and they said he had an oblique injury. I'm telling you, they do it all the time.
You're talking about the Phantom DL, aren't you?
The Phantom DL. That's right. Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Gosh, I want to go with the Eagles so bad, but then you pick the Cowboys, and I'm kind of like, that makes a lot of sense with Mike McCarthy. So, I'll lean toward the Cowboys. I think they have a lot of talent, especially with getting CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb's going to be a really good wide receiver. Dak's going to play really well because he's in a franchise tag year, so I think that's the other thing. Zeke Elliott is still one of the top running backs in the league, and they still have one of the best offensive lines in the league too. So I think the Cowboys probably will take it, but I don't think it'll be by much.
Dak's going to put up like MVP numbers, and then after the season, he's going to go deuces and go to another team.
Yep, that's right. Tampa Bay.
Are you writing all this down as well, James? So at the end of the season, we can turn around.
Dak Prescott. Oh my God, that would be crazy.
I don't want Dak. No.
All right. Let's jump ahead. This is actually a very intriguing division to me. The AFC South. So you have the Houston Texans, the Colts, the Jaguars, and of course the Tennessee Titans. Bushman, AFC South. Who takes it?
I'm going to go with the Colts on this one. Because because the Texans. Basically, Bill O'Brien gave up everybody to get a nickel and like a washer and dryer back for the DeAndre Hopkins trade. They still have no offensive line to protect Deshaun Watson, so he's running for his life. And they Texans still have no defense whatsoever. So I've got the Colts. I think the Colts are going to be slightly better. Jags might surprise a lot of people, honestly. With the Titans, I know they they got Henry for a long-term deal now, and Ryan Tannehill signed that huge big deal. I think they're going to take a step back. So I've got the Colts winning that division.
All right, Brett Buck.
You know what? I do like the Colts. I think that their 7-9 season probably was not respective of how they played. They were in a lot of close games. I do think that they're going to take the step, but I do think that the Titans are going to also take a step. For me, they're winning the division. I'm going to disagree with you, Evan. The Jaguars, I think, are going to be a hot mess.
All right, you never know.
Yeah, they're going to be
But you know what? This is the thing. And I think the Jaguars sum up the epitome of poor management, because no other team has had so many top 10 picks in its sort of initiation since we did. And when you have that much talent being drafted in, the fact that they haven't done very well at all is, to me, indicative of just deep-seated problems in that franchise. With everything else that's going on,
can I say something?
I don't think they're going to stink as bad as Washington, though.
Can I say something real quick? I love how you say Jaguar, by the way.
The Jaguars.
Jaguars. Yeah. I love how you say that.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Tennessee on this one too. I think. Shut your mouth. I'm gonna go with Tennessee as well. Look, I think Derrick Henry is the best running back in the league, and it's kind of hard. Look, I know Tannehill is not. he's not that guy that's going to get you 5,000 yards passing in a season. He's not that guy.
No,
but
he's not going to turn it over 30 times.
Well, but here's the thing: you got Derrick Henry in a great running game that can carry you, and there were times where he had 100 yards passing last year for the game, not even for a quarter, for the whole entire game.
That AFC Championship game, all they did was run; they didn't pass whatsoever.
So until they can stop him, I don't see Tennessee losing this division, but I don't see it being a 13-win team. I think they can win this division with 10 wins because that's just how close the division is. But I agree with Bushman too that Phillip Rivers is kind of the wild card here.
Plus, I mean, with the Colts, I mean, you bring Rivers over there. Of course, he was really bad last season, but you bring him to the Colts where they've got Frank Reich there, and they're reunited because, I mean, his best years between 2013 and 2015, Phillip Rivers was one of the top passers in the league. So you bring him and reunite him with Frank Reich, it's going to be good. They've got a lot of young offensive talent on there too as well. So I think it's Colts, Titans, Texans, Jags.
Okay. All right. Well,
do you think that team's sorry, James. I just wanted to ask Evan there. Do you think the team's going to be a bit more relaxed now that there isn't sort of the looming shadow of Marcus Mariota there?
For the Titans?
Yeah.
I don't think that really affected them anyways. When Tannehill took over, they were kind of in a hey, we got to make a move somehow because we're not getting it going with Mariota. So why don't we take a chance with Ryan Tannehill? And he took the reins and brought him all the way to one step closer to the Super Bowl. So I think with him not being there, I don't think it's going to make a difference. I mean, I think they're going to have the mindset of we need to get back to the AFC Championship and go to the Super Bowl. That's the mindset they need to have. Like Mariota's an afterthought now since he's in Oakland.
All right, well, let's go to the NFC North. This is actually a very interesting division for me. I think there's a lot of – actually, this may be outside of the NFC South. I think this might be the other really competitive division. Of course, you got the Bears and Vikings who didn't really do much in the offseason, to be honest, to bolster their team. I mean, I guess, they really didn't. Neither one of them did. And then, of course, Green Bay didn't draft a single receiver for Aaron Rodgers, so that was kind of weird. And then, of course, Nick Foles joins the Bears. So who wins this division? This is kind of a wide open one for me. But Britt Buck, who wins the NFC North?
I'm going to completely disagree with you on a lot of the things you've said there, and I love doing this because it gives us something to talk about.
You always do.
Yeah, I do. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do.
You got me. So basically, for me, the Packers are a team that have been regressing for a long time, and the fact that Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers is the one thing that has been keeping them going.
The newly single Aaron Rodgers, too.
Hey.
Look out, ladies.
Ruth, where are you?
She made a stop in Green Bay.
I wouldn't do that to Ruth. But you know what? I don't see Green Bay as being the big threat that they once were. They don't have the great sort of defense. Their offense is a shadow of what it was. The Bears, no one knows what's going on in Chicago. I don't even think the coaches know what's going on. The Lions are the Lions. We're not even going to bother talking about them. We know that they're going to stumble to a 7-9 season. You know what? People of Detroit, go back to sleep. It's done. It's over. For me, the only viable team in that division is the Vikings. Yes, they didn't make a lot of moves in the offseason, but frankly, I don't think that they needed to. I think they've got a good team. They do have a young core that is developing together. The one thing that they absolutely need is a competent backup behind Cousins. Because, as I said earlier in the show, they don't have a backup quarterback worth a damn. The situation in Minnesota is terrible. And Cousins is not exactly the hardiest guy in the league. So if he goes down with an injury, if he's out for any significant time, it's over in Minnesota. But with a healthy team, Minnesota takes the division for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Britt Buck. I think the Vikings has the division on lock as of right now. The Packers. Yeah, you won't see Aaron Rodgers on that team much longer. With the Bears, it's all depends on who's going to take over that quarterback position with the battle of Trubisky versus Foles, whoever takes the job. I really think with the Bears defense taking a step back last year, they weren't that formidable force that they were the year they got Khalil Mack in that trade. So with the Lions, I don't think the Lions are going to be bad as everybody thinks they're going to be. I mean, before Matthew Stafford went down with that back injury, he was putting up MVP numbers. You got to remember that. So with him fully healthy and on that team now, and they've got.
I'm sorry, with him what? With him fully healthy?
Well, I know it's a big question mark with him with a back injury, but with him fully healthy, the Lions won't be as bad as they were. I mean, they had to make a patchwork with quarterbacks that they had, and now they actually drafted a running back to put behind him now that they can hand off to instead of throwing it all the time. I think the Bears will. I think the Lions will be a lot better than the Bears. You never know. The Lions might be in the third spot, maybe the second spot, depending on what the Packers do. And I think just the Packers not getting Aaron Rodgers any kind of weapons just brings them a huge step back. So the Vikings can win this. They could run away with this division if they play well. And it all depends, too, if they are going to give Dalvin Cook a deal. I mean, we still haven't heard if they're going to give him a deal. They're going to tag. Well, yeah, if they're going to give him a long-term deal now, because he wants to hold out if he doesn't get a deal.
Nope, not so fast, my friend. Not so fast. And here's what I'm going to say, and this is the unpopular opinion. You know who's winning this division? And Donnie, you can shove it. The Bears are winning this division, y'all.
Oh.
I will tell you right now, Nick Foles is not the reason that they're going to win. Mitch Trubisky is going to be the reason that they win. He is going to come in. He is going to learn from Nick Foles. He will be the starter week 1.
Speaking of kicker woes, I mean, geez.
This is why you should say no to drugs.
No, I'm telling you, listen. The Bears are a great team. Now, look, I love what you said about Detroit because I actually have them second.
Yeah.
So I think that you're very right about Detroit. They did a very good job in the draft, and they have every chance to steal this division away from the Vikings, who, again, the Vikings really didn't do much to me. And Dalvin Cook, you guys want to talk about injuries? Dalvin Cook finally was healthy last year for 5 minutes. He hasn't been healthy his entire career. He's had injuries. So again, it's a situation where I'm gonna tell you the Bears, they've got a shot. When you have Khalil Mack on your team, and yes, maybe he didn't have as great a season last year, but anytime you got Khalil Mack on your team, you're in the division race every year.
The Bears are always like that girl that you see at the bar who has, you know, she's really good looking in the dark, and then when you put her out in the light, she's really, really ugly. That's what the Bears are like.
Oh, my gosh. Anyway, all right. Let's move on quickly because I know we got some stuff to finish the show here in just a second. Let's do lightning round here for these last couple. AFC North. This is kind of a weird division this year to me. The Ravens obviously are my favorite. I think just like everybody. In fact, the Ravens probably are the Super Bowl favorite. Who you got in this division?
Ravens.
Ravens. All right. They had a great draft, by the way. They had a great draft. Here we go. The AFC West. The Broncos, the Chiefs, the Raiders, the Chargers. Of course, the Chiefs are probably going to be the favorite in this one. But are there any teams that could maybe give them a run for their money in this division or no?
Maybe the Broncos.
Broncos give them a run.
Maybe the Broncos, but Chiefs all day.
So you don't think the Chargers with Tyrod Taylor will be any good?
I mean, they've got a great defense. I mean, it all depends on how Tyrod plays and if they make a switch to Justin Herbert or not. But I think I like this division as a whole. I think all those teams in that division are decent and good. Maybe except not for the Raiders, but you know the Chargers are a couple of years away from really being really good with that defense, and they've got some real offensive weapons on there. And Denver too. Denver really loaded up on offense too. They gave Drew Lock a lot of weapons to throw to on that team too, and they're starting to come back as well. So it's going to be a really competitive division with this one. But I still got the Chiefs all the way.
See, I'm just going to come back. Jump back in time to John Decker's comment saying the Ravens are going to be scary. I don't think they're going to be as scary as what people think. I think now that the tape is out on them, I still think that they're going to be a winning team. I just don't think they're going to blow everybody away like they did last year.
Wrong.
Probably 10-6, 11-5.
10-6?
Wow.
Oh, that's why you say no to drugs. This guy right over here. That's why. Oh, you got to be kidding me. I'm not acknowledging that because you're completely wrong.
Do you know what? If the Ravens finish 10-6, the season finale show, you have to do the show with a shoe on your head.
A shoe?
A shoe? Who throws a shoe? Really?
Honestly.
Really?
Let's beat him to death.
I'll tell you what. If the Ravens don't finish higher than 10-6 on the last show, I will dump the coldest bucket of ice I can find on my head. I'm telling you, they will finish at least 12-4, if not 13-3. I'm gonna tell you right now. There's no one in this division that's going to even come close to them. Anyway, moving on. Okay, the NFC West. So we have the Cardinals, the Rams, the 49ers, and the Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Seahawks, okay.
Seahawks.
Bushman?
I'm going Seahawks too. I was gonna say Niners, but man, Seahawks. I love them Seahawks, man.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think anytime you got Russell Wilson, you're pretty much right there in the middle.
I think the Niners
take a step back.
True. And of course, I saved the best for last, of course. The NFC South, again, who I would argue is the most competitive division in football, period, all the way around. Falcons, Panthers, Saints, and, of course, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're going to try not to be homers during this, and we're actually going to pick who we believe is actually going to win the division, although I would say 3 out of the 4 teams in this division have a chance to win it, in my opinion. But El Bushman, we'll start with you. NFC South, who's taking it?
Tie.
No ties. No ties. That is a cop-out.
That you ran away then. You ran away.
You ran, coward.
You know what? Sorry, Saints.
Okay.
Sorry. Saints.
You know what? This is quite hard for me because as much as I try to be as unbiased as possible, my head says the Saints just simply because they've been the best team in the division for a while. And we've seen how poor the Bucs have been at occasion. We've seen how poor the Falcons have been, and we've seen how poor I do think maybe we are being slightly biased against ourselves at this point. And I know it's like, oh, the homer and like all drinking the Kool-Aid and everything. But for me, I think the Bucs win the division. I think the Saints are absolutely good. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know. I just see like the Bucs edging it out. And if anything, I think the tiebreaker that wins them might be division record. If they go 5-1 in the division.
Yeah.
I mean these teams could go 12-4, 11-5.
Yeah.
I actually said on the JP show the other day that, because we had talked about divisions, and actually I think I've said it on this show too. I really believe that the division winner is going to win 13 games. They're going to have to win 13 games. I don't see an 11-5 or even a 12-4 winning the division. I think it's going to be a 13-3, and I think if there's any team built to go 13-3, unfortunately, it's the Saints. I think that they have weapons just like we do, but the difference is those weapons have been together longer than we have, and with COVID, everything going on with COVID too. The Saints have more of an advantage than the Bucs do, and I hate saying that, but it's really true.
And James, I'm glad that you brought that up too, and that's why I give the edge to the Saints is because those guys have played with each other. Like Brady coming to Tampa, look, we don't. It's not a sure thing that they're going to win a lot of games, and these guys haven't played with each other before. So that's why I give the edge to the Saints because they know the schemes, they know the offensive schemes and plays and everything, and they know how Breeze thinks when he's in that huddle. So that's why I give it the edge. I mean, I'm not saying the Bucs are not going to be competitive for this division. They definitely are. I just think right now the Saints have got the upper hand because they've played with each other for this past few years, and Brady's just coming in fresh, not knowing who these guys are, not playing with them and everything.
Yeah, I think the NFC South is going to come down to what matters more, talent or chemistry.
Right.
And that is going to be the deciding factor because if you look at the Bucs offense against the Saints offense and you take each player one for one, how many of those players are you actually taking out of the Bucs starting team and replacing with Saints players? It's not actually that many.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a lot of edge to the Bucs in certain positions. I still think we have the wide receivers, obviously. Of course, you got Michael Thomas. And then, of course, they signed Emmanuel Sanders, who's not by any means, he's not a terrible wide receiver at all.
He's a clear number 2, which is good for Michael Thomas and good for that offense.
Exactly. So, but as far as overall, like top to bottom, I would give the Bucs the edge defensively a little bit because I think the Saints aren't as good defensively, and we saw that last year. But I would still give the nod. Listen, anytime you've got Alvin Kamara back there too, I think that's really the tipping point for me. I know Kamara didn't have a great year last year, but he's still super fast. You can build this offense. They really kind of built the offense around him and Thomas, but it's still obviously pass heavy. But I think they may do some transitioning to the run game to really make kind of Kamara be the guy, to really kind of pick up the slack there.
And I think as well, when you've got the ability, and I know this is turning into a little bit of a Saints love fest right now, but when you've got the ability to switch between a potent passing game and a very effective running game, I think that is potent.
Potent potables.
Potent. I think you set up your offense to be able to play both ways, through the run or through the pass, and I think it's definitely an advantage, which I think a lot of teams wish they had. I think we're going to see more out of the Bucs running game this year. Yeah. I don't think Brady is going to be expected to throw the football as much as Jameis was. I don't think any quarterback should be expected to throw the ball as much as Jameis was.
I'll agree with that.
So
I agree with that.
Hopefully we see more of the run game. We see a more balanced team, and each phase of the game will help each other. And this is why, as I say, if you look at it talent against talent, I think the Bucs definitely have the edge. But when it comes to chemistry and sheer number of ways that Saints offense can hurt you, then you have to give the Saints the edge there. Sure. Defensively, I think they're actually the same.
Yeah, I would still give the nod to the Bucs. I think really having Jamal Dean, Sean Murphy Bunting, and then of course Devin White, Levante David, and then of course the front line. I mean, I definitely have to give the edge to. The Saints really don't have a front to back like we do. I think we have a lot of superstars that will really stick out this year, even through not having preseason and COVID. So, all right. Well, that's.
I think we've got a lot of potential superstars. I don't think maybe all of them are superstars yet. And I think that's the difference. That's why I would give sort of a tie to the defense, because we've got the better players, but we don't yet have the chemistry or consistency.
I kind of want a muffin now.
Potent potential potables. All right.
It is potential.
Let's transition to El Bushman. Now, last week we had a fun time playing some Buccaneer trivia with Ruth the Truth. Of course, Ruth the Truth is
flying high,
as high as can be. So Sean Button Murphy, there you go. That's a good one. I like that too. Sean's Button. So El Bushman has so graciously offered to step in and do some trivia with us, and I'm assuming that these questions are probably going to be ridiculously hard.
No. They're slightly hard and slightly easy. So, anyways,
okay.
Let's also leave it open to the people tuning in. Let's leave it open to the people too in the chat too as well. So you guys want to answer in as well. We would love to have you answer the questions. So
let's go.
All right, and welcome to another edition of Tampa Bay Buccaneers Trivia with your host, me, El Bushman. And question number 1 should be an easy one. What season was the first for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? What year was the first season?
The actual year itself was the 1976-77 season.
That is correct. It is 1976 was the first year the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did play. All right, question number 2. Well, actually, that's an easy question. You want to do that one.
My heart's beating now. Oh, my God.
The Bucs' first pick in 1976, Leroy Selman, went to which Midwest school? Which Midwest school did Leroy Selman come from?
Wow.
Let's keep it open in the chat. If you guys know the answers, put them in the chat.
They're also on a delay, so that's probably why they're not answering.
Well, let's give them a couple seconds
then.
Good.
Wow, that's a really good question.
Yes.
Man. Where is Scott Bradford when you need him? Because I'm sure he would have known this one already.
I know, right?
Are you guys stumped? And actually, we got a right answer in the chat. It is Oklahoma, Joe.
That's not fair.
probably looked up the answer, so it is Oklahoma.
No, he didn't. That's Animal. He knows everything.
Oh, it's Animal. Okay. Well, yeah, you can't shoot like that Animal. All right, here we go. Question 4: how many head coaches did the Bucks have between John McKay and Tony Dungy? Those years were 1984 through 1996. How many head coaches did the Bucks go through?
At least Ruth gave us multiple.
All right, I'll give you multiple choice. A1,
Hang about.
B5, C4, D3.
I'm sticking to my 3.
I'm gonna go 4 on this one.
James Ludeman would be right. It is 4.
Let's go.
It'd be 4. All right. Question number 5 or question number 3 for Kitty Count. What did McKay say was the biggest reason for him taking the job coaching the Buccaneers? Is it A, the sun, B, the beaches, C, cigars, or D, the restaurants?
Oh,
The beach.
I'm gonna say cigars.
James, you would be correct. Again, it is the cigars. Good job, buddy. The cigars brought him the team.
go.
Hey, those hand-rolled cigars in Ybor City. So, okay, question number 6. How many times did the Bucks qualify for the playoffs under their first head coach, John McKay? Is it A, 3, B, 2, C, 7, or D, 5?
2.
2.
You are both incorrect. It is answer number 3. It is 3 times they made the playoffs.
Oh, man.
3 times.
Wow.
What was the third one?
Yeah. All right, question number 7. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers won their Super Bowl 48-21 over the Oakland Raiders to finish the season, finish the 2002-2003 season. Where did they finish 10 years earlier? 10 years earlier. Is it A, 4-12, B, 11-5, C, 8-8, or D, 9-7?
Okay, so 10 years.
10 years prior.
So there was the 2002-2003 season.
So 10 years prior to that season.
92-93 season, which I believe, if my memory serves me right, see, I don't want to be wrong because I'm on a Buck show. That's the horrible part about this.
Actually,
Go ahead.
you know what? I'm going to say that they finished, was it 5-11?
Yes, 5-11 was one of the answers.
Yeah. 5-11.
I'm going to say 4-12.
And you would be correct, James Ludeman. It is 4-12.
Yes.
Wow, Britbuck, you are terrible. All right, question number 8. What Buccaneer running back rushed for 1,207 yards in the 1995 season? Is it A, LaDainian Tomlinson, B, Eric Rhett, C, Ronald Jones, or D, Cadillac Williams?
Eric Rhett.
That's an easy one. Are you going to answer, Britbuck?
I think it was Dave Matthews.
Oh, Dave, that's a great answer. Okay. All right. This is a unique question. Okay. How was the Buccaneers chosen as the team name? Is it A, the owners named the team? Was it B, the name the team contest? Is it C, a call-in contest? Or was it D, a beer sponsor?
It was B, a name the team contest.
And you would be correct. It is name the team contest. Very good. All right. All right. Here we go. Question number 10, and we're almost done with these. We got 2 more questions to go. Which former Buccaneer had his team record tied by Rondé Barber in 2007? And I'm not going to give you any multiple choice.
Oh, this one's on you, Brett Buck. Yeah, and you big Rondé Barber guy, so you should know this.
Actually, I'll give you multiple choice. And is it A, Derek Brooks, B, Simeon Rice, C, Donnie Abraham, or D, Rondé Barber?
Sure, I'm gonna say like Donnie Abraham was my first thought, so I'm gonna stick with that. You
would be exactly right. It is Donnie Abraham.
It is Donnie Abraham.
That's a good one. I didn't know that one. Sorry.
Okay. This is actually a good question. Okay.
Who was out drunk one night? No, just kidding. No,
the last question. We got this question and a bonus question. The Bucks played in only one tie game in the 20th century. Who was it against?
Wow.
the Dallas Cowboys, the Green Bay Packers, the New Orleans Saints, or the New York Giants. Yeah, there you go.
Say the first three again, because I know that last one's not good.
The Saints would be incorrect. It is not the Saints.
What were the first two?
The Green Bay Packers and the Atlanta Falcons.
The Packers.
You would be correct. It is the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Okay, and our bonus question. What praise did McKay have for his defense after Joe Namath and the New York Jets beat the Buccaneers 34-10?
He was for their execution.
No, the answer is they were gentlemanly.
Gentlemanly?
Yes. His quote was, Namath is still Namath, but I must say that our guys were nice to him. I noticed when they knocked him down, they helped him to his feet. That was gentlemanly. I thought one stood around long enough to get his autograph. The loss to the Jets was his team's fourth shutout in their opening season, bringing the record to 0-10.
Wow.
And that does it for Tampa Bay Buccaneers trivia for this week. I am your interim host, El Bushman. We're going to be back to quiz us on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah. El Bushman, everybody. Give it up. Yes, he was in favor of their execution. That's fantastic. I actually like that.
They didn't block and they didn't pass, but they made up for it by not tackling.
That's probably the best one. All right. So anyway, we'll go around real quick because we're going to wrap up here in just a second. But Brett Buck, final thoughts tonight on Set the Sail.
I think there's so many different things that going on in the world of sports potentially right now. I think if you're going to just try and worry about everything, you're going to go absolutely crazy. Let's sit back. Let's enjoy what happens. Let's see what happens. Let's enjoy it for what it is. As James said earlier in the show, the NFL has got a luxury that it can watch how other teams and how other sports go about it. They can work out the best strategies for themselves. I'm hopeful that there's going to be a season. And yes, the players have got the absolute right to turn around and say that they've got health concerns, they've got family concerns. They are people too. And I think we're going to have a football season, and I think it's going to be done in the right way. I think all these things are going to be put into place that need to be.
Final thought?
Yeah, El Bushman.
I'm going to go the opposite direct route of that. Make sure to tune in tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook Live and Periscope. Sports Caffeine will be live. You can catch my ugly mug and also James Pretty Face on that show. I am retaking back hosting duties this week. But James, I will say you did a great job filling in for me because I was for that week. I was just like, I don't want to be a host this week. I'd rather be second fiddle. So for Sports Caffeine 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, make sure to check it out.
All right, everybody. Well, awesome show tonight. Thank you all so much again for watching. Appreciate you guys checking us out every week. We will be back next Monday with Ruth the Truth, who will be joining us, God willing. And, we are so excited to be here with you and just really kind of waiting for the Bucs season to start. I know we kind of played around tonight with some different stuff and things like that, but we're just waiting. Training camp starts tomorrow. For the rookies, well, they're going to test tomorrow. It starts Wednesday, but they're gonna be in the house tomorrow, and so football is back. It is coming back slowly but surely, and we're really excited to talk about that with you over the next several weeks as we prepare for the regular season coming up in September. So, for myself, Britt Buck, El Bushman, thank you all so much for watching. We will see you next Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Set the Sails. Have a good night, everybody. And as always, as we end every show, let's go.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks. Have a good week. We'll see you next Monday.
Thanks for listening to Set the Sails. Listen to us on Apple Podcast, a Bucks Life media production in association with FanStreamSports.com. See you next Monday on Set the Sails.